So today we're going to do electrical. I got to change that box. I got to take this entire pipe and bury it underground. And over there, I have to hook up the electrical to that box on the wall. Going down, over, and then back to this pipe. So let's get the excavator and dig us a ditch. So, I'm going to start digging. I guarantee when I'm on top of the digger, you will not be able to hear me. So that being said, I'm going to move everything out of the way because it will smush just about everything it's on, including some bushes that are in the way. Move the PVC that's in the way, the pipe, the wire, my pull cord. Here we go. We're going to start our ditch. It appears I'm not the first one with an idea to put a driveway here in a parking spot, because it appears I have a whole driveway underneath this. Okay, so now you're probably wondering, why are you suddenly looking at a bunch of plumbing? Well, you're looking at a bunch of plumbing because when they actually replaced the water line, they did not put the water line where it was supposed to be. They put this oddball corner. Now, looking at that picture, my house is to the left. So I have no idea why the water line goes to the right. House on the left, water line going to the right. So with that being said, of course, I hit the water line. That's why you should always call the people that come out and find your lines. Yes, that's the right way to do it. This being a small town, me waiting for somebody to show up and say, hey, there's your line, will take me. That'd be fine if I lived here. Since I don't live here and I'm only here on weekends, I cannot get somebody to come because they won't come out unless somebody's home. They'll do public, but they won't do private property. So, all that being said, we are going to do some plumbing. I was going to run a line all the way down this ditch to get water to the shed area. However, with these new things that have happened here, this isn't even straight, this is like crooked. My meter goes this way. This pipe goes this way. My house is that way, and it goes completely away. So I really have no idea what their goal is and what they were thinking. But then again, I'm not whoever put this line in, thank God. So I will not think the same as them. So since this is underground, I always use primer. And since I'm primering, I will primer my whole T I'm about to install. That way I don't have to primer the ports that I've already put in. And I like to put on the fitting I'm going to use first. You'll see why in a minute. This is actually not the fix. Extra glue, I don't care. It's underground. So I'm going to cut myself a piece of pipe that's way longer than I need. And I'm going to glue that into my fitting. Try not to get any more pipe than you need to inside the pipe, because this is water line and you don't want to get extra around that. Okay, so now we're going to glue this in and I can go straight up. Now I know my straight up. I'm now done with that piece. This piece over here, I'm going to cut it as close as I can to the fitting that broke. Yes, if this is PVC plumbing for the pool and I had my truck, I have all kinds of gizmos. And luckily the place here doesn't sell any of the gizmos. I'm just going to throw that down there. So there's no gizmos to assist me to get this done. However, the funny thing is, when I take the piece of pipe and put in here, it actually lines up. It was actually bent into where I need it to be. So now I'm going to take my pipe, I'm going to put my primer on all the pipe that's here. I'm going to put my 90 on first, because that's my reference point. Not going to glue it, just going to put it on. I'm going to lay that here, cut down the pipe a little bit more. Yes, I'm going to waste probably an inch of pipe, but I want it to be exact. Cut down the inch of that pipe, put it where I want it. I know that the fitting here comes right to the edge here. So I know right there will be a tight fit. So I'm going to cut that for that tight fit. Like I said, I lucked out that there is actually a 90 right here. And the 90 broke. If the 90 didn't break and I was in the middle, I would have to do a loop, which is basically come up, and go over and have a loop going on. And then I could do a loop anywhere. I could have even done a loop here, but why do a loop when I don't have to? Because everything lines up. So now I'm going to close up my primer. I'm going to put this down here. I'm going to do the outside of the pipes first. That's going to take off a lot of the stuff. Then I'm going to do the inside of the pipes second. Because like I said, I don't want any extra glue on the inside. Put that down there. Put this inside to here. And put this inside to here. And I'm going to hold it because I want it to be perfect and stay all the way in. If PVC glue gets put on and the pipe moves out, it pulls glue with it and you have a very good chance of having a little micro leak. This is a high pressure water line. You don't want micro leaks on high pressure water lines. So that being done, I'm now glued. So that was the side project. I have now fixed my pipe. Now what I want to do is I want to take my pipe and I want to glue my 1 inch. 1 inch. I just fixed 1 inch. Half inch. So I put my 90 on my half inch. Figure out where that needs to be. We're going to put that about right there. This is going to be my line now. It's going to run to my shed. So I won't have to put down a bunch of half-inch pipe running through the yard. Good. Bad. I got a lot of half-inch pipe I don't know what to do with. So I got to figure out what to do with the half-inch pipe I have left over. So I do have a valve for this half-inch line, so I can valve it, but I don't want to valve it underground. So as far as our buried hole, that's going to be it for the buried hole. Okay, so I got all my pieces to do my end. First thing I got to figure out is length of pipe for the pipe I'm putting down. I want this right on the shed. That means the length of pipe is going to be right here. Length of pipe taken care of. Second issue. Didn't plan on putting the water in line in yet. So I don't actually have a ditch dug all the way to where the water line's going to go yet. But I will have in about 10 seconds. I got my ditch for the water line. The reason I'm doing this right now, even though I haven't turned the water for the house on yet, even though all that good stuff hasn't happened, the reason I'm doing this right now is that you always want to put a way of turning off a just-in-case valve. So we're going to put our just-in-case valve about a foot away from our actual water outlet. So just in case something goes majorly wrong, I have access to turn off the water. Again, we want to hold it. I have access to turn off the water that goes to my outlet. In this case, without having to turn off the whole house. Not turning off the house is always a good thing. At this point, as soon as this dries for maybe like 10-20 minutes, I could turn the water on to the main house. But the main house water at that end is off, because I want no water from here to go there. What I want to do first is I want to get this done, turn this on, go to the house, go upstairs, open a spigot, and let the water come backwards into this. Because I want the water coming out of here. Because that's going to give me a clean line and get anything that's in that line out. So let's figure out where this goes so I can pre-cut it. I did add a valve. Just have to cut a little bit back. Then I'm going to go to the house, get some water. There should be water coming out from the house now. Might not be that much, but will be a little bit. Let's clean the line from the house to here. So I've cleaned that little section I've done. It's enough. I can close it off. I can do my prime. Do my prime on this end. Put glue on the outside of the pipe first. Extra glue gone. Put glue on the inside of the pipe. Glue the pipe up. Put it in the ground. There we go. Basically, if I come straight up with a 90, my valves are going to be against the trailer, against the wall. So I'm not going to be able to do anything because the valve's going to be right there. So I'm going to put a 90 sticking out. All I got to do now is put my fittings in. Now I could do that after I get it up. But I'd rather put it up and have it be completed. Why do I have two? What if I want to put something here like a portable fan, a wash station for my car? I do have my designer car. It's going to park right there in that spot right next to me with a little shed over it, or a little cover over it. So how high do I want this? I think that's a good height, enough to actually get off the ground. So I'm gonna make it that high. I like using Schedule 80 in this type of situation because it's sticking up out of the ground. Schedule 80 gives you a smaller inside diameter, but it gives you a larger pipe thickness. So I don't have to worry about it. So now I put this in. I glue my pipes in. I look at it to make sure it's straight against the wall. All that's left to do is to hook it to the wall. Now I'm not going to turn the house valve on full blast just yet. I'm turning it on just enough. I don't know if you noticed that, but a little bit of brown came out. So my water is running. So there we go. Now I'm going to turn off my spigots. And let things lie with it open. Remember, you did a lot of plumbing here. We went all the way down, all the way over. We fixed this here. And we added our our half-inch line. I only wanted a half-inch line. There you go, half-inch line with a shut-off valve, emergency shut-off valve, and that's going to be hooked to the house. Side project completed. Okay, so as you can see, I got the ditch dug all the way over. The next thing to do is I have to rig up electrical on this side. Okay, so I have something that I started doing ages and ages ago. It's treated me well, hasn't caused me any problems, so I've continued to do it. So what that thing is I always have a place for the electrical to go. So I always finish the to before I finish the from. And that way, I always have my electrical finished at the other end when I hook up my electrical to live power. So we're going to use this today. This is called a punch out kit. This is a specialty item for electrical. It allows you to actually punch out the box size you need for the hole. And unlike using a screw fitting, meaning a drill with a screw on the end, this allows me to actually not have any shavings, not have any pieces, have an exact size hole. I don't have to worry about the holes being wrong. I just get the right size punch, in this case 1 inch. I get my fittings. So the punch goes in the outside. This goes in the inside. I screw them up as in screwing them down. In this case, I can recenter it, so it's going to punch out more towards the out and away from the wall. So you screw this down. Once you get this screwed all the way in to where it's tight, you can adjust it to exactly where you want that hole dug. Each end of that round cutter has a point, so once you put it someplace, it stays there. So in this case, I want to go all the way out. And then the kit comes with its own ratchet. One is on, one is off. So all you have to do is ratchet. And it's going to cut a hole in the bottom of this box. That's exactly 1 inch to put my conduit in. Haven't sound. This kit is not new. It's fairly old. I'm tired out from doing my ditch. Sorry about my breathing. And above me is the fan, exhaust fan. I need that. Let's turn that off. There, no exhaust fan. Door's open. So you just tighten this up and it punches an exact hole. It comes with a 1/2 inch hole, which only has a 1/4 inch thread on the ratchet, which gives you the hole big enough. See, comes out. Now we're done. Now I have an exact hole exactly the size that I need. Put it back in the nice kit. Seal it up. So next time I use it, this kit is 2006. It is not new. Now I can put my one-inch conduit in and thread it in place and put it in my box. It's going to feed my circuit. So now I'm going to hook up my conduit. So I'm taking my conduit that I already have. Don't know the length I need yet. But what I'm going to do is, this is my 90 I'm going to use at the bottom. So I'm going to prepare. The 90 does not have a coupling on one end. Unlike with plumbing, you do not use primer on the glue. It's actually a much thinner glue. You do not use glue that you use on conduit on plumbing. It will not hold in a lot of cases. So you end up doing a lot of work for nothing. So you take this, you want to glue inside, you want to glue the hole outside, you want to make sure you push it in all the way. Now a little bit all the way, and you want to hold it so it stays. I like going around so the glue gets all around. That gives you a nice union between these two pieces, which allows the wire to go through without a problem. Here comes the train. Now we're going to hold this up and cut the length we need. Go right to the bottom of the threads, then a little bit more, and that's going to give you the length you need. Yes, I raised my voice. I forgot that the train doesn't affect me because I'm right here. Or hard habits. Now I'm going to hold that up. Going to take my next piece and glue my fitting on the next piece. Remember, I glue once, I measure many. I want to make sure everything fits. So putting this right down my hole, I only need a piece here of about 2 inches. Okay. When you're on the ground, you want to have the coupling on the ground. That way, when you go to put the glue in, it's not going to be around the pipe, it's going to be in the pipe. So you can easily clean the pipe off and not worry if it's sitting on the ground. So always have the pipe go into a coupling when it's on the ground. So the end of this pipe has the coupling. So I'm going to be using this with a coupling. So now I'm going to glue this in place. Thing about PVC glue, it's very messy because it's very watery. Okay, that's right where it goes. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to bring my fitting right into this. I have to look at the end of my pipe to see what my pipe is. With all my water issues, I got buried under the pipe, under everything. It's just a straight pipe. Okay. So that means I'm going to glue my fitting in. I'm putting a piece of pipe in here just to hold it so I can adjust the distance, adjust the height. I can put my PVC glue in. Try not to get on yourself. You want to always push electrical in as far as it goes. You never want the electrical to be out at all, because when it's out, it becomes a spot that can be caught when you're trying to pull wires through. So that's my electrical. Now I'll take the pipe I put in there out. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put screws in to hold up the actual pipe. When I find out why I'm having a little bit of problem breathing like that, my thermometer on my porch, under cover by feet, not just a little bit, with the wind blowing onto the porch, says that right now the temperature is 100 degrees. Does this have to be level? No. But, as I say so many times, if you're going to do it, why even start if you're going to plan on doing it wrong? If it happens to be wrong because of a mistake or something, so be it. But starting wrong? I'm sorry, but that's just downright stupid. You should never start a project thinking, no big deal, it's going to be wrong anyway. Why would anybody do that? Put the extra 10 minutes in, extra 30 minutes, extra day of planning. So when you get done, you can look at it and you say, that is as good as I can do. Instead of saying, oh well, it got done. That just isn't good. I think I only need one, which means I'm only going to put two. Because if one does it, two is excellent. So I'm going to look at this, I'm going to put it somewhere in the middle. I know the one on the bottom got put right into wood. This one here is probably going to just be in the middle. So there we go. There's the second one. Right into our box. We're down and out. Bunch of conduit, a big ass ditch, rain on the way, broken water pipes, a second broken water pipe because of the way they put things in. Can you even imagine? I can imagine. I just lived through it. Here's the wires I pulled before. They're still tied up. I didn't actually cut the wire. I cut this in the middle. So they're still tied up and ready to go. So what I'm going to do now is take the wire we started with, and I'm going to push it down from the top, down the hole. I have disconnected my extension cord going to this box. It is dead. I would not be doing this if it was live. I don't recommend it anybody working on electrical inside a box other than changing a breaker when it's live. So this has come out of my box. Ah! This goes to show the way my day's going today. So this is now out of my box, and I have my wire. All I need is some trusty electrical tape. So what I'm going to do now is take the wire we started with, and I'm going to push it down from the top, down the hole. I have disconnected my extension cord going to this box. It is dead. I would not be doing this if it was live. I don't recommend it anybody working on electrical inside a box other than changing a breaker when it's live. So this has come out of my box. Ah! This goes to show the way my day's going today. So this is now out of my box, and I have my wire. All I need is some trusty electrical tape. Okay, we got ourselves trusty electrical tape. So I'm going to take the wire from before, and I'm going to loop it down, and I'm going to twist it around. Do I have to do that? Not really. It's only 5 feet. But if you get used to doing it on 5 feet, you'll do it on 30 feet, and 20 feet, and 60 feet. And then you'll get used to do it all the time. And you'll never have to count the feet, because every time it's going to be the right way. It becomes a habit, doing it the right way. I believe in right way habits. Somebody told me once, anything you do for 5 months becomes a habit. And until you break it, you'll continue to do it. If it's something bad, that's not good. But if it's something good, that's even better. So, we have our wire hooked up. We have a pull cord ready, taped up. I'm going to step on the bottom of this, and I'm going to pull up the top. And it's going to get caught. Then I'm going to bend down. And I'm going to feed it through the hole. That's what I'm going to do. Step on it. Pull it from the top. Push it from the bottom. It's 190. That's 2 90s. Now I'm pulling the whole conduit over. Now I have my wires. Now I have my wires. Now I have my wires. I have extra wire though. So now I have to go to the other end of the conduit and pull my extra wires back. Now I have my wires. I have extra wire though. So now I have to go to the other end of the conduit and pull my extra wires back. Okay, so I pulled as much as I can see right there. And I'm still out doing this. 100-degree sunny day. Okay, so I'm pretty good here. So now I'm going to get my glue. Move all the plants out of the way. My red wires are a little bit bent. So now I'm close enough that I'm actually going to glue the wires at this end. Now since I have wires on my conduit, I'm going to put pipe glue on the outside of my pipe. I am not going to put it inside the pipe. I'm only going to put it on the outside of the pipe. That way there's a hope that doing it that way, even though I have wires in it, I'm not going to glue the wires into the pipe. So now, I have two green wires, but I take one of them and each end has been wrapped in white. So that becomes my white wire. Green becomes my green, and obviously my red is my red. So I take my wires, I place back. This uses a Phillips head. Okay, so I loosen my inlet screw. I put my neutral in place. I tighten it up. Really doesn't make a difference because the other end of this wire is blank. There's nothing on it. So I do the same thing with my ground wire. Loosen the screw. Put my ground wire in. Tighten the screw back up. Now this panel does not have a dedicated ground lug. So many don't. I like the dedicated ground lug. I will more than likely be buying a dedicated ground lug to put this in. So now all the extra ground wire, I'm going to pull most of it back now. Connect my extension cord, because I should never have to use that again since I have real wires. Take that off here. It'll be a futuristic wire for an outlet underneath somewhere. So I don't like having a ton of spare wire. My preference. I've gone in the boxes where they've had enough wire to move the box a foot, and it's in the way, and it's everywhere. I don't do that. Just like I don't like loosening my main lugs. I like to make sure my main lugs are tight. Any electric connection that is not a solid connection that actually allows movement in any way, shape, or form is a space that will be heated. The electrical connection will heat up, and you will have a fire, an overheat, or a burnout. So for that instance, from seeing so many of those, they have been put in to the point that they've overheated and they've destroyed the box they're in, I make sure my electrical connections, or pardon the term, tighter than hell. So that's it. This side of my electrical box is done. Now I can close this side up. I'm sure a future project will be adding more stuff to it. At this point, I don't have more stuff to add, so we're closing it up. Now, since I have some place for the power to go, now I can go to the other side and let the power come from. Okay, so now it's time to hook up this side of the box. So the first thing you have to do is make some place to go. I've already taken the knockout kit and put me a 1-inch hole. So now I'm going to put my 1-inch fitting inside my 1-inch hole. This is the newer GE box, and there is no holes in the bottom of this. I had to make my own hole. I don't know why they would make a box that's bigger. My old box actually had more access points than the new box does. Needless to say. So I need to take my conduit, little piece of conduit, had my cutters, dropped them when I turned the camera on. You know, when it gets hot out like this, I think your mind begins to slow down. Okay. Take my conduit. I'm going to put my 90 on the end. Push it down all the way so it dries. Figure out my distance. Which is going to be right underneath the water pipe there. About right there. So then I can cut off my pipe, and then I have a place for wires to go. In case you're wondering, yes, this box has had all the power killed, and yes, I used my tester to verify all the power was dead, just in case I made a mistake and labeled my breaker wrong. I verified the power was gone. So now I'm just putting that in there, facing it directly in the direction my hole goes. Just like that. Now I have a place for my conduit to go to. Before I can do that, however, I need to do what I really hate doing, which is cleaning out my hole. Now I'm going to clean out the hole. Hey, let's do fast forward so nobody has to watch this mess. So my current conduit stops right here. So now what I gotta do is take all the wires out of the conduit that I cut. And run them through a new piece of conduit. When it's a straight piece of conduit and you have wire 8 or above, you can usually do this. Anything below 8, I find it's extremely hard to do. This is 6. I think the ground is 8. Yeah, the ground is 8. And the neutral, I think, is 8 too. Mr. Red, meaning main power, those are 6s. Okay, now since I got those through, now I can pull all the excess through. White has the most excess. Green has the second. And red, I have a feeling that red might just be long enough. I don't think I cut it shorter. Another thing is anything above 8, when you get a curve in the pipe, the wire that is, it's difficult to straighten out. Pipe straight. Glue only on the outside of the pipe, not on the inside. You're going to get some on the inside, but the little bit you get by doing the outside only isn't, you won't find it glues the wires to the pipe. I definitely will have enough wire. Now I gotta measure. Cut down a whole pipe just for that little bit I need. Oh well, it is what it is. This probably is not the longest project I've done, but it's the longest project I've done in 100-degree weather. Especially since, because of the cockeyed way they did the plumbing, which had a plumber come by just because he happened to stop by and look at it, and he was amazed how ridiculous the plumbing is getting water to this house. But needless to say, I had to do a 100-yard dash twice. Get all the way to the other side of the house, turn the water to the house, then leave the water in the house and run all the way out the gate, around the gate, to the main shutoff to shut off the main power, the main water. So I didn't want the water to run and pick up goo and get it in my water line. That's why I had to shut up the main first, to protect the water line. And I can do the rest. Now this we can bend out some. Change sides. Take the conduit out of my hole. Put some glue on the outside of this. I really don't care if it's messy or not. It's underground. Glue this on. Throw this down. I'm using these long wires for the simple reason that I just don't want to cut them and have a little piece of wire I can never use. So I'm going to keep them until I cut them once. So it's a pain to do with them, but I'm going to cut them once instead of cutting them multiple times. I have a ton of wire that I can't use. But I'm getting fed up. It's coming close to cutting time. Notice I picked up my cutters on my trip around. Okay. This white wire, the white pipe, by the way, is my water line I was going to use. And I was going to have that be my feed line out to my shed line before I by chance hit the water line. Presto, I got my feed line to my shed. Unplanned success. Getting closer, I got one line up. I gotta feed my next line up. You know, I am positive somewhere out there is a professional electrician that's all happy with himself, telling himself how terrible I'm doing this, how it's not the right way. And as I told you many times, you're watching this because this is the way I do it. It's not because it's the right way. It's not because it's the best way. It's because it's my way. My purpose of my way is quick, inexpensive, fast, one man able to do. Those are the requirements. The side requirements, or the fact is that since I've worked for various major corporations, which I'm not going to give names, because then I'll have somebody call me from them. So you can't really say that you work for us because we've never actually given you a certificate. So I'm not going to give names. However, I have worked for them, and I've done major projects in major places. The fact is, hey, I can cut my wires. That's the fact. Get rid of that annoying green wire. Get rid of that annoying white wire. These, not really annoying me that much. By the way, yes, that's my hurricane window. Got so busy last year with a couple storms we had and things I did. Forgot to take down my hurricane shutter or my piece of hurricane plywood. So now it's hurricane season again. Not going to take it down now. That would just be silly. So I guess it's going to be up. Yes, call me the hillbilly that has its Christmas lights up all year long. Because I have had my lights up all year long. Okay, now I'm bending over. You might not be able to see what's going on, but I'm holding my pipe with glue on it out of the ground, and I'm going to be pulling in all the wires. Which is going to pull those together. And glue the pipe. I'm pushing it in. My pipe is glued. That's it. Okay. Battery running low. Energy running low. But my conduit's in the hole. And right now, I am going to go get my breaker, my screwdriver, and I'm going to hook up the wires. I am tired. I am grumpy. I am a mess. But on top of all that, I am almost done. Anybody that's watched my electrical videos, hooking up Scamphilla and all the different electrical things, lights, so on and so forth, you know the first thing that gets done is we hook up our grounding. Always hook up grounding and neutral first. Is there any safety feature to it? No. Is there anybody that told me to do it? No. It's a mental thing. But that's the order that I put it in. So I always hooked up my grounding first. When I'm doing a full box with everything in it, Ground is usually at the very bottom, all the way in the damn back. Barely can get to it. It's annoying. So it's nice to hook it up first. Cut the wires so they fit. Bring them out of the way so they don't interfere with anybody else. And it's always nice to do it that way. Then I can put my wires over it and all the ground is underneath, out of the way. Unless you're going to replace the wire and replace the box, chances of you have to touch that ground wire ever is almost nil. Because once you put the ground wire in, it's never going to move. There's really no reason to move it. What came first? The breaker or the wire? If it's my job, the wire came first. Wire goes in the breaker, so I have maximum control over it. I can hold it, and as I've told you before, tighten the hell out of it so I don't have a hot spot. Then, and only then, we have to put the breaker in the box. So the other side of this, my shed has a fan in the wall. I can hear the fan. When I get done with this, I'm going to go inside. I'm going to turn on the main breaker that goes to here. And when I do that, this breaker outside, it will be off. I will then switch on the 50 amp breaker outside. And at that point, and only at that point, I should hear my fan turn on. And I shall be happy. Because we'll be up with a full 50 amp service into the shed. Where at that point, I know I'll be able to run my air conditioner. Spacer, breaker in, 50 amp off, that off, that off, that off. This bent up into place, this bent up into place. Fan turns on, all is well. Okay, it appears that everything works. I just have to close everything up and cover up the hole. So this has been another successful project with a lot of added features. We went from adding a 50 amp line, which is number 6 wire, buried it all the way across, went to the shed, added it into the shed system, added it to the breaker box, had a water line break because of the cockeyed way they did the water line. That was on camera. We got that one. Had a second water line break because another water line that goes to who knows where goes. I put a valve in. That is not on camera. I was too pissed off to put that on camera. So we actually have 50 amp power going to our work shed now. So now we can turn the air on and do work. So was this a happy project? No. Did it feel like work? Yes. Thank goodness I only have to do it once. I'm completely exhausted. I don't know if I'm even going to cover it up tonight. I don't know. But the wire is in, the water is in, and everything else is in. So we're good. I will talk to you later.